Hello there, Mad Mike here, and welcome back to the channel. And today, a story's come out that, keep in mind, none of this has been, most of this is hearsay. However, it's being reported on a few major sites, so, it might be true, and I could definitely see this being the case. The idea that apparently Jared Leto, made a concerted effort to try and derail the Todd Phillips Joker film before it even got off the ground. Now, this seems plausible to me because of a couple of reasons, and I'm going to go through it. Is that both of the after Suicide Squad, when that came out, they announced that Jared Leto would be getting some form of a solo outing as the Joker, continuing on from that film, along with Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn. Now, it's obvious that Harley Quinn is getting her own solo outing with Birds of Prey, but we haven't heard anything about Jared Leto's Joker outing since that happened. And Suicide Squad came out in 2016. Now, it's been 3 years, and the other Joker film that I believe was confirmed after that has just come out, obviously. And from what we understand, Jared Leto was not pleased when he heard that this other Joker film was in production or was being made by Todd Phillips. Now, it's fair to state that, yeah, okay, I guess Leto, maybe he was concerned because he had a multi-picture deal, and he was concerned that maybe the studio would drop him or something like that. Personally, I think his portrayal as the Joker was not very good. I think that he was very inconcise in his speech patterns. I think they stuck most of the good lines from him in the trailers for Suicide Squad. And I don't think that I don't think the direction of him was very well in general, as well as his personal portrayal, which I think factored a lot into it. Now, we all also know the very strange things that he did on set because he was trying to method act. There were cases where he was sending used condoms to various people on the set, among other things, dead animals and things like that, that people were not happy with. People thought that was weird and messed up. David Ayer apparently didn't like it, as well as the studio executives, because, again, it's a film. We get it if you're method acting, but you don't need to drag everybody else down into it. So apparently the studio was not happy with him, the director was not happy with him, his co-stars were not happy with him, and now that appears to have compounded to the point where they were willing to move away from his interpretation, despite the fact they're continuing on in the same universe, just kind of leaving him in the dust. And he was not pleased with it. He has come out verbally and stated that he does not appreciate the new Joker film. He thinks that they should have continued with his version. And basically, he's just very he's just very his feelings are hurt. Essentially, it's like, look, dude, you had a job, you pretty much fucked it up, and then they moved on to somebody else. You're a decent actor. You're gonna get more roles. You're filthy rich. I really don't see why you're that pissed about it. But the news that's come out now, or at least the rumor is that apparently Leto attempted to make connections with the higher ups at Warner Brothers to try and get the film derailed, which is a step beyond just verbally criticizing it. He actually went behind, according to this, he actually just went behind the scenes and tried to scrap this thing from the start, it's a pretty low move, especially for, people that are around you. And I think that was even after Joaquin Phoenix was attached to the film. So, you can make the case that maybe, the people that were higher up above him were kind of concerned with his portrayal, and they wanted to see something different, see if maybe, all right, well, look, maybe we'll go back to him if this other film flops or if it sucks, but it's obviously it doesn't suck and it's made a ton of money. So I think it's more likely that they will leave Leto's character in the dust. But Leto basically took it as a personal affront to him as opposed to a business decision, which, again, is something that happens in Hollywood where actors get overly emotional about things that are really just business. And, again, Hollywood is kind of this weird mix of emotional attachment versus, cold business aspects or cutthroat business aspects. And, again, that's why Hollywood people have agents. And it was actually stated in the article that Jared Leto's music agent Supposedly he contacted him to try and get to the executives at Warner Brothers and get them his music agent to help him derail the film. Which again I find extremely ridiculous, simply because they're doing a different version of the character that he wanted to play. It's like somebody not getting a part in a movie and then slandering the film nonstop to try and sink it. And it just shows kind of the childish nature of Leto. I mean, we all kind of knew a lot about the nature that he is, his corrosive nature, with his in terms of his acting ability, and the people that he's in films with. Most notably with Suicide Squad, but I'm sure there's probably some backstage horror stories from other films that he's been in over the years that I'm maybe just not privy to, or maybe the public is not privy to. Personally, I still remember him as Paul from American Psycho when Christian Bale murders the shit out of him with an axe. But I can't say the guy's not talented. He's won an Oscar, but he's not the type of he's kind of crazy. He's kind of insane. You don't really know what you're going to get to him what you're going to get from him on a film by film basis. The studio chose to go with Todd Phillips and go with the Joaquin Phoenix version. And Joaquin Phoenix, he's a solid actor, even though he's a little nutty. We've all seen like interviews and stuff with him where he's been, a little off kilter, I guess, or he's been a little eccentric. But in terms of his on-screen presence, he seems to always do a good job for the most part, which I think is why they hired him. He's a very steady actor in terms of his performances and the what he makes on screen. So I don't really have a problem with them going with that, because he is obviously the more stable choice. Now, whether or not they continue on with his character is an entirely different issue. I doubt they will. Simply because Phoenix himself has said that he doesn't really feel like coming back for sequels, and Todd Phillips doesn't know if he's going to direct another one of these films. The first one seems to be a piece that kind of just exists on its own. It should be left by itself. It kind of goes with my sequel rule. If you make a sequel, does it degrade the original, and do you have room to expand? You might have room to expand, but you might also degrade the original if you make a sequel to Joker. So, there's some stuff up in the air about that. But this is mainly about Jared Leto's petty nature and what he sees as a personal affront to him, which I think he should just take as a business decision, because that's really what it was a business decision. And a lot of people say like, oh, he's still one of the most popular things about Suicide Squad. It's like, yeah, he's a standout because he sucked. It's not you can stand out if you suck, and you can stand out if you're really, really good, especially if you're in a shitty movie. He stood out because he sucked, plain and simple. Margaret Robbie stood out because she was really, really good. Will Smith stood out because he was good. Jai Courtney didn't stand out at all because he's generic Jai Courtney and nobody gives a shit. But in terms of Jared Leto, I think a lot of people did not like him in that movie. I didn't like him in that movie because it sounded like it sounded like he was high on something the entire time. His speech was almost like slurred, and a lot of it didn't make sense. Even the stuff like his laugh was okay, his demeanor was okay. A lot of people were pissed off about the tattoos. I thought the tattoos were okay. I didn't see really a problem with that. And they put pretty much all of his good lines in the trailer, and there was really nothing in the movie, which, again, feels a little bit like a bait and switch, especially since he's only in the movie for about 10-15 minutes out of a hour and 45-minute film. It's just kind of something to take a look at. Is that, actors, I think, in some cases need to realize what's a business decision and what isn't, and just live with it, because that's the way reality works. If you're going to sit there and cry like a little baby about the fact that they decided not to pick you up or not do this or not do that, then you really need to start examining your life a bit more, because you're filthy rich. Like, Jared Leto is filthy rich. He's the lead singer of a successful band. He's won Oscars, and he's frequently in films. He is filthy rich, unless he's like Johnny Depp and he spends like $70,000 a month on wine. But it's just kind of something to note that, this was a hurdle that Joker had to jump through before it was even in production that nobody knew about. Whether it was a significant hurdle or not is, reliant on how trustworthy the information is. But, I want to know your thoughts. Do you think that the studio should have carried on with Leto's Joker? Do you think that moving to Joaquin Phoenix and Todd Phillips' version was a better idea? Do you think it's a good idea that they don't have plans for Joker to come back for either Suicide Squad 2 or Birds of Prey? I want to know what your opinion is. Put it in the comments below. And make sure you hit the like button, hit the bell for notifications, subscribe, and remember, I live my life free of compromise. Do you?